Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Marketing 101. Really special guest this week and a completely different vibe as far as marketing goes. And you're going to probably think, why are we talking about construction? But it's going to come all together here. Carolyn, thanks for joining us. You're from Crossfields Interior and Architecture. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, what you do.
Great to have. Thank you for having me. It's great. It's good to talk to you again after all these years too. So, yeah, we do design virtually. We do full service design, architectural interiors focused on holistic health, primarily chiropractic. Started 100% in chiropractic, and it's just evolved into all types of holistic health because chiropractors do all kinds of holistic health. So, but we work virtually all over the country, and we've been doing this since about 2011.
Wow, it's great. Yeah, I've known you guys for a long time. Our first remodel was right when you guys were in 2012. So right when you guys were starting up, and they've got so many great. Go check out Crossfields website. They got so many great resources for those of you. Chiropractors are weirdos. We all are. We all think we can do everything ourselves. We really do. I mean, every chiropractic office has its own name. We don't like being part of a conglomerate. We don't want to be part of the medical system. We don't want to. We'll cooperate with people, but we don't even want to do that. We don't even want people to tell us how to do an examination. We want to even do that ourselves. So we're a unique group. But I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to construction, when it comes to paint colors, when it comes to your office and your aesthetics, please let go of the ego and call Crossfields or call somebody, because this is stuff you don't need to be doing. And the perspective of what your client is looking for on that first impression is not what you think. It really isn't. It means a lot more to it. And this is what they do. So yeah, let's start with that. I mean, that's my little goof on chiropractors, but we do. And I've done so many do-it-yourselves myself. And I look back, I'm like, why did I waste so much time and effort? And it ended up being wrong anyways. I had to move a wall after it was done anyways, because I miscalculated and we didn't end up using that room for what we thought we were going to use it for. So having someone that truly walks you through the whole thing is really important. So what do you find, what do you like working with chiropractors for? What's the ideal client for you guys?
The ideal client is one that understands that hiring somebody and their expertise does save them time and money. So that's start there. And they understand that a quality office is going to elevate their success. But there's a lot of complex details. There's 3,000 to 6,000 decisions that need to be made. So we have created a 6-step process to smartly guide them through the process and to make it real efficient. And the other thing is that, we understand, most chiropractors understand flow and efficiency, and they understand that is important. And, we're experts, we're interior architects, so we're experts at space planning and have been doing chiropractic for a long time. Started doing work at Life University in 2004, if I don't know if you knew that or not. But full circle, so maximizing your space and your flow is critical. But then what we're going to probably talk about the most is attracting and retaining patients, which is the marketing and understanding how to do that.
Yes. When we finally did it right on this last build that we just finally moved into this March, for the first 6 months, it was everybody walking in and being like, wow, like this is not just the nicest chiropractic clinic we've been in. This is the nicest office we've ever been in. And that makes you feel good at the end of the day. It takes a little while to get used to the trying to be humble about that. But anyways, it's such a great impression. And then the referrals start happening because of that. It's just a subconscious thing of where people want to be. You want to be, in the luxury seats when you go to a game. You don't want to be in the nosebleeds. So when people get that experience of being in the luxury seats, it's really hard to go back to the nosebleeds. So that's what you want to be when it comes to medical service. So what are some things that you offer, from the a la carte stuff that you do, all the way from beginners, all the way to somebody who's like, you know what, guys, you take care of this whole thing. Here's the building. Please tell me when I can move in.
Well, you just said the first one is our top of the line, where we do everything, where we start off with, we don't do the construction, but we act as your advocate during construction. But we start with the vision and your requirements for your space. We love to start before you even go look for space. because then that helps you get really narrowed in on what you're looking for. We call that our step one. And it determines kind of your visual drive of what you're going for. So you understand the reticular activating mechanism. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you're going to find it easier and better and faster. And then once you found that space, whether it's a building you're buying or leasing or what, then we work through step two, which is validating the space and doing we do so many space plans because in, let's just say 1,400 square foot space, we could probably yield 8 or 10 different floor plans out of it. So the goal is to do it on paper as much as we can to analyze the flow and the efficiency and the effectiveness. And then that's the function. And then we think about the form. So form follows function. They're never separated, but we have to focus on that function first. But the form, we begin to create the visual aspect of the direction that space will go, the three-dimensional space, because it's more than just walls. It's the ceiling, it's the lighting, it's the accents, the finishes, those things. We begin to visualize that in step two. And then step three is after you've signed the lease or you have purchased the building or whatever. And that's where you get into really the full set of construction drawings. So the architectural construction drawings where you're dealing with the ceilings and the lighting and the walls and all of those, along with the layout of all the millwork and the things that will become part of the interiors. And that's step three. And so you can get really good pricing from that because you get allowances, and that's where you can get a bid if you need to do that. Then step four is where we actually embellish that with the finishes and the lighting and the detailed designs of the front desk and the millwork, and et cetera. And then step five is where we actually layer legalities on top of those construction drawings to turn them into permit drawings, because permit drawings have to meet the municipality's requirements. Construction drawings are, for the contractor to build from. So it's a matter of those detailed construction drawings with the permits mixed together. And then our step six is we actually are available typically weekly to meet with the contractor, walk the space, and just validate that what's being built is happening the way it needs to be built. So those are our full service.
That's great.
We also have hundreds of free blogs and we have like 4 or 5 different free resources. We've got checklists. We've got just a quick little booklet. Then in between, we have a couple of online products that can be purchased. And one is a office design boot camp, which is intended for that chiropractor. It is chiropractic focused 100%. And it's intended for the chiropractor that's really starting out, and they really do have more time than they have money, and they want to learn how to do this the best way that they can. So it does save them time and money, because not understanding the process is the biggest mistake. You've been through it. If you haven't been through it and you don't understand it, you don't know what decisions need to be made when, it can cost you a lot of time and money.
Yes, all 5 clinic designs that I've been through in my 15 years have been using Crossfields designs for sure as the base with all my developers and architects. So yes, it comes in handy because you guys know, and we'll get into this later, but flow and patient flow and the business side of this your construction is going to either help you with your success or be your demise.
Exactly.
We literally had to move across the street because it was starting to become our demise.
Oh my
we needed more space. So, and then those are problems that you run into, which is great. But then
Good
you have to build the space for future growth. We didn't have to think 1 year down the road. We're thinking 10 years down the road. What happens when truly 1,000 people are walking through every week? What does that look like?
Yeah.
It's a completely different model.
And going into that, we were talking about that step one. That is really where we really consultatively process through those ideas from what's the minimum you need to function versus what is more ideal, like your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan growth. And then when you go out knowing those parameters, then you can make better decisions on the space that you're looking at.
Right. Yes, that's right.
And then the last product I was going to just mention is we do have we put together during COVID when we were slow, 8 totally designed color finish furniture schemes. We call it Designed for You. And so for that once again, that doesn't want to spend the thousands of dollars to hire a designer to do the decorating part, it's kind of pre-decorated for you. So that's also a thing we have available. So we're creating stuff all the time because we want to serve the whole industry. And but you were asking me our ideal one that fits into that all step six is usually their second office,
Right.
maybe their third, and it's usually more of a long-term goal for them. They're going to be in this space longer than your quick 3-year lease or
Right.
5-year lease.
Yes, and that's where I was with that. I was like, okay, we're doing this right this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gets into more, and they've learned a lot more. So they have less time and more money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they all fit together.
But you guys have something for everybody. I use you guys right out of chiropractic school. I was on the website. I was actually on the phone with you guys back then on how to lay out this design because we took over a chiropractor's office and it was old school. And we're like, listen, there's 2 of us now. There's 2 chiropractors in here. So it changes the whole model. These things are things to at least think about. If you're looking at space, if you're looking at remodeling, if you're looking at moving, get in contact with Carolyn first. Just send her an email. They're super friendly. They put you in their Rolodex and then they just leave you alone until you're ready. Or they'll tag you in a few months and say, hey, how's that lease coming along? Or did you guys find a space? You guys are super friendly when it comes to that. So I can say that firsthand. But what are some challenges that chiropractors run into, specifically chiropractors or medical doctors, when they're trying to do this on their own? Or what are some of the things that they miss a lot? What's the most common thing that's missed when people try and do it yourself when it comes to building out an office?
Well, because you really don't know every little detail, you don't know what you've missed until you're on site and the contractor's going, what do I need for this? What do I need for that? What do I need for this?
Yeah.
So by having a firm like ours design everything up front, one, it's all going to be in your price. It's all going to be coordinated together. It's not going to be a domino effect when you think about something that you didn't think about something else. It's all going to be done right the first time. So what's missed is all the things that they don't know that they need to know until it starts to get built.
Yeah.
So it could be the door hardware, it could be and not that they're not going to have door hardware. They just haven't processed through that.
Right.
And, the door hardware.
Which way is the door going to swing?
Which way is the door? Well, we got to know that one before we get the permits going. But yeah, all of this and how it flows. The other thing I think that they miss is just not one of the things that we feel like we bring a lot of value is what I was telling you in that step 2, where we look at so many different ways that space can be laid out. We really we call it push the envelope. And we just really want to process through it with the doctor. We're not telling the doctor how it needs to lay out. We don't, this, you already said it. Every doctor's different. Every doctor's different. Every doctor's going to practice different. And so we understand how you practice. We gather that from you, and then we challenge the flow and the way that happens through the space. So
right. And you guys have helped so many different chiropractors that when we say something, you're not surprised. You're like, oh yeah, network. We've worked with network doctors. Oh, upper cervical. We've worked with, then that was what made me feel really, I was like, okay, I'm in good hands here because I'm not super unique. I'm not the one stray ball. They know what they're doing. So that's great there too. And Scott told me when our first lease it was 19 feet wide by 60 feet deep. And he was like, don't sign a lease on under 25 feet wide because none of the models that we have are going to create good flow. I didn't listen to Scott. I'm like, oh, it's a good space. I'm going to take it. It didn't work. It was so tight. And we made it work in a pediatric office. It was okay. Kids were running all over the place, but it was too tight. We couldn't get a corridor with 2 rooms on each side. So we created an open bay system, and it was kind of like working out of a shoebox, which is why we had to move. So Scott was right. Don't get an office that's under 25 feet wide because you can't build the flow that you need as far as exam rooms and flow and consult rooms and an x-ray room or whatever it is that you need. Yes. And we always forget about bathrooms. Those are mandatory. You need those according to your county. Great stuff. What other resources do you have? You have, you said a boot camp or like an office design boot camp that people can take a look at. Yeah.
Yeah. I just finished it like a month ago. It hasn't even really been marketed. I think I've sent it out to our main marketing list, but working on getting that marketing out there. But my goal is that the story a little bit of we got into this because I mentioned we were working at Life University doing their facility design and had the opportunity to do the first chiropractic office in 2009 was my chiropractor had a student opening around the corner. So I bartered with him. But I fell in love with helping the small doctor, the smaller, not little as in small only, but all I was used to was really big corporations. But I loved that one-on-one that I was able to do, our group, small group on group. Saying that, Life University then in 2010, I did a couple of other doctors' offices through word of mouth like that. In 2010, they asked us to teach a class to their business. They had kind of a business weekend class, 6 hours of why your office design matters, which is what we're going to talk about. Your office design will impact your success. And that course that I created back then in 2010 was like, I need to get this out to more people. I need to get this out so that people understand and that they're prepared for what it's going to take to open an office, what it's going to take to open an office and why and what is important. And, this is marketing. It is your biggest marketing asset.
It is
working for you or it's working against you.
It is. And, subconsciously, it's where you're going to go every single day. Well, except the weekend. You're going to be there every single day. And it's just nice to go into somewhere where you're proud of being, and it's got your aesthetic and it's got your touch on it. It's got everything that you like. It's a different thing. It brings a different level of everything. Everybody enjoys working there. The people like to rent the extra rooms that we had. Everyone was coming in like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. I want to work here. They don't even see the rooms yet because everyone.
You're just saying there's a psychology.
There's a psychology behind it.
And that's one of the things we talk about in the boot camp. I talk about the psychology of space. I talk about the different elements that you can use to change how you want people to react in the space.
Yeah. My advice for everyone listening is, go to crossfieldinkdesign.com, sign up for the newsletter. At least do that right after this podcast. Do that. Get on their list because then you get the automatic newsletters and you'll just stay in touch. It may not be now. It may not be in 2024, but 2025, you're like, oh, I need a different space or I'm moving or I'm doing this. And then you'll remember where to contact them. That's how it happened for me. I just stayed in contact. And every time I needed something, I didn't even have to Google it. I just went straight to Crossfields Inc., which is fantastic. So anything else that you want our viewers or listeners to hear?
Just, you've already alluded to it, but there is a distinct return on your investment when you invest in your office space, both in your efficiency, which is, stopping the losses, I would say it's an operational thing, and increasing your revenue through what you've said already, attraction and retaining patients. So just knowing that and being very intentional about it is the message I want people to know.
It is. And you're right. And I put that to the test this year with a realtor. By the time we bought the building, which we paid over price for it in 2021 when the market was crazy. By the time we got the renovations done and the construction loan done and the final price of the building, I had the realtor come right back in the very next day when we opened, and it was $200,000 more than what I've spent on building it on day one because of the aesthetic, because of we did it right. We didn't use the cheap carpet and scale back on the lights and use fluorescence. We did the right things. We put in the chandeliers. We use the tile backsplash on an entire wall when you walk in. Just the extra little things that don't cost tens of thousands of dollars. But these little things are timeless. We kept it white and clean and time so that, 5 years from now, we're not outdated. All the little things that you guys have on all your blogs and all your information of the little things to think about. I'm not the genius that came up with it myself. Most of it came from Crossfields Inc. Design. So yeah, that's so great. Yeah, definitely contact you guys. I'll put all the handles in there. They can find you online and your email address. And if there's any other ways, I'll make sure to tag them there. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much. And we do have a resource for the listeners that includes some discounts. So that'll be in your show notes. So look for that.
Oh, awesome. Good. We'll add that in there too. So if you do decide to take action, then you get a little bit of a discount. That's awesome too. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Bye-bye.